you doing?
Hey,
Hey,
I'm good. How are you doing?
hey, I'm good.
Good? Good,
Good.
good.
Yeah. How's the weather?
Well, weather's good.
Good.
Weather's good.
Good. Good.
You
Good.
did you see the weather?
No,
Yeah.
is it good?
Well, I think it's pretty good.
Good.
I saw a cloud.
Oh,
Did you see the cloud?
I missed it.
You
I
missed it.
missed it.
You missed the cloud.
Good. 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 Yeah, good. Hey, good talking to you. Yeah, good talking to you. Yeah, good,
Okay.
good.
Next time,
Yeah,
we'll.
we'll talk again.
Okay.
Okay.
See you later.
Okay, cool.
Hey, my name's Aaron Burr. I'm the director of English Corner and the co-creator of Journey to Success in America. Have you ever found yourself in an awkward conversation where you didn't know what to say, you didn't know what to do? That's what that was. And we are really privileged to have an expert in small talk and having those skills to approach a group of people. And she is also the co-creator of Journey to Success in America. So without further ado, this is Marie Chandler.
So today I'm going to teach you more about small talk, like those conversations that Aaron and Gary just had. Sometimes it's awkward, and sometimes it's even hard to approach because you're really not sure if you're going to understand the Americans because they might be talking too fast or you might not know the right words to say. But I assure you, we're going to talk today about a few things that will really help you in these conversations. But first, I'm going to tell you a little bit of an embarrassing story that I've had in small talk when I was learning a different language. So, in high school, I was learning American Sign Language. This is a language that you communicate with your hands to people in America who are deaf, which means they can't hear. And so, this was my first class that I've ever taken in this new language, and our teacher told us that our assignment was to go out into the community and practice our language with native signers. So of course, I'm extremely nervous because I barely even know how to sign basic questions like, what's the weather like, or how are you? I barely know any of that. And maybe some of you are in the same boat as I was in the beginning of my classes. So I went out with a couple of my classmates, and I remember walking into a room where I saw a ton of people over there signing, and their hands were moving so fast that I just turned red already. I didn't even want to go over there and talk to them anymore because I was afraid that I wasn't going to understand anything they were saying. So I took a deep breath and I decided to go join one of the conversations, which is always one of the hardest parts, is just getting started, right? And so I went over there and I was watching everyone back and forth signing, and I was really nervous that they were going to get impatient with me because I didn't know what they were saying. But I mustered up some courage and I decided I'm going to ask them a question. I'll ask everyone a question here. I'll ask everyone, where do you work? And that's what it looked like. And then my worst nightmare happened. Oh my goodness, everyone started laughing at me. And I had no idea why. Everyone was laughing and I was standing there like this. And I knew that my face was redder than it was at first when I walked in. And so I was standing there just waiting for them to stop laughing. And finally someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, you signed a word that's very similar to a different word in sign language. I was trying to sign work, but instead, this is embarrassing, I signed make out, which is like Americans kissing. And so I asked everybody in the group where they like to make out instead of where they work. And I thought I would never be able to communicate with someone again in sign language because I was so embarrassed. And maybe you felt this way at some point. I don't know, but there's some important tips that you have to know and that I've been able to use in small talk with sign language and also with other Americans, because these are the unplanned conversations that happen all the time, okay? Are you ready for some of the secrets that we have for you today? Okay. One of the do's is this: show humility, okay? You might not know what that means, and I'm gonna tell you. Humility is having confidence in what you already know with your English language and your conversation skills, but also recognizing you still have some things that you need to learn, right? And that is the kind of person that Americans love, is someone who is humble, not someone who acts like they know everything, but someone who's confident but still wants to learn, right? And so let me tell you about a favorite American saying that will help with humility. So have you ever heard of fake it till you make it? That means you are going to pretend like you're confident even when you don't feel it inside. You can still pretend. And when you are standing up straight and you're leaning into a conversation, it is eventually going to help you make yourself feel confident even when you didn't at the beginning, okay? And another thing, if you don't know what the Americans are talking about, they might be talking about an American sport that you don't know about, or something else in the culture that you don't know a lot about. There are two really easy things that you can always ask if you're confused or if you just want to know more information. You can always say, tell me more about that. And that turns the conversation around so that the Americans can then continue talking about what they were talking about and actually explain more for you, okay? And the second thing is, if it's something with culture, you can always ask, what's that like for an American person? Because you have come from another country and you're maybe not sure what that's like. Maybe it's a holiday that you've never experienced before, and Americans love to talk about what they know. So if you can ask them a question about something they're an expert in, they would love that, okay? And here's the second thing that you should always do, is showing interest, okay? And I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, well, me, I'm not that interesting. And maybe I don't think the American is that interesting, right? That's okay. Here's a couple of things that you can do. So if you lean into the conversation and you're completely focused on the people that you're with, Americans really appreciate that. And do you want to know what Americans' favorite vocabulary word is? It's their name. So my favorite vocabulary word would be Marie, because when someone is having a conversation with me, when I hear my name, immediately I turn to them and I want to listen again. So if you can slow down at the beginning of a conversation and remember someone's name and use it during conversation, I promise you, they will immediately look back to you and be engaged in the conversation that you're having, okay? If your weakness is you don't know what their interests are, or you don't have the right words to say, this right here is gonna help you. The key to being an interesting person is to be interested in someone else, using their name and engaging in the conversation so that they immediately like who you are and want to talk with you more, okay? So these are things that you can do, positive things that you can do. And now some of these next things that we're going to talk about are kind of funny because Americans, there are certain conversations Americans say, don't bring this up, especially if you don't know the American group very well that you're speaking to. So let's take a look at the first don't. Avoid controversy, okay? These are topics that are politics, war, and religion. And you might ask, why is it not okay to bring those up? It's not okay because sometimes those topics really hit Americans at the core, and that means they really aren't comfortable talking about it. They might get emotional. They might be angry, or they might be sad when you talk about things like that. So if you can avoid controversy and keep the conversation really positive and interested in things that the American is interested in, then your conversation will go much more smoothly. And the second thing that you never want to do is bring up conflict. You want to avoid conflict. And here are 3 examples. There's many examples of things that people don't like you to ask, but here's 3 of them. One of them, especially as a woman, you never want to ask someone if they are pregnant, okay? So if you see a woman who has a larger stomach, you don't know if they're pregnant or not. And this happens all the time in America, and women get very embarrassed when you ask them that. So you don't want to ask that. Another one is if you notice that someone has gained weight, you don't want to point that out, okay? You also don't want to point out if they're tall, short, skinny, or overweight, because all of those things could potentially be embarrassing. Now, if you know the person and you're joking around with them or asking them later on in conversation, like, wow, you're really tall, do you play sports, things like that, that's a different conversation. But if it's something that you point out, you should just be cautious that some people could take those comments as something negative, okay? So here are 4 things that you can take away right now today to go use. And I know what you might be thinking. Yeah, all of that makes a lot of sense, but what I really want are just the right words to say. I want to know exactly what to say to an American in this situation or this situation, and that will come. And I'm hoping to be bringing you more videos on things that you can say. But for today, I want you to hold on to these principles right here that are very important. I want you to focus on who you're with and not necessarily what you say or how you say it, okay? Keep the conversations positive, and if you do these 2 things, show humility and show interest, then you are at a point where you are going to be above average in your conversations. If you already know how to answer the questions, what's up, how are you, where are you from, and what are you interested, how's the weather, all of those things, you're already at a good spot. And now, if you implement some of these things here, you are going to be an above average person who can have way better conversations than you ever knew that you could. Right below this video, there's a comment section. And here's what I want you to do. Since I know some of you really want the right words to say and some new topics of conversation to use, I want you to come up with 1 to 3 new questions or topics that you can bring up with an American over maybe this next week or over the next month or year. And when you comment under this video, other people will be able to see the questions you're using, and maybe they can use some of yours and you can use some of them. Here's something else I want to tell you. The next video that's coming out is very important and you don't want to miss it. We have Gary, who's an expert on getting a job in America. He's read so many resumes, he's done so many interviews before, and I want you to hear what he has to tell you as an international student or an international person coming to America and looking for a job. Don't miss that. So once again, I want to congratulate you on taking this next step in learning English faster. Just by watching these videos and trying to implement some of these skills, you are going to learn English and you are going to be so proud of yourself, just as proud as we are of you for taking these steps. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much.